Hello, and welcome to Archvelder's Hacks with Archvelder and his amazing hacks. The following video is a comprehensive leveling guide to patch 7.35. That is the fastest way to level to 110. This is primarily a guide for solo rather than multiple players. In this video, you'll learn how to move at mount speed from level 1, summon an entire orc army to grind mobs for you, create an infinite number of imps and demons to farm XP at hyperspeed endlessly, and power level through Draenor, one-shotting mobs with a super-powered glitched vehicle. And most importantly, learn the fastest and most highly optimized leveling techniques that exist in the game. I would bookmark, favorite, or otherwise record the location of this video for fast and easy access, as you will need to refer to it repeatedly. While many of the techniques are very easy to apply, some are more complex and require repeated viewing. Some of the tricks I'm going to show you bend the rules, however there is nothing in this video which is likely to get you banned, even temporarily, though some of these techniques may get fixed in upcoming patches. So if you plan to level any characters in the near future, I would do it sooner rather than later. As in my previous leveling video, in this video I am using basic looms and no enchants to achieve a relative balance between players who are leveling up for the first time on a fresh account and players who have best in slot gear with full enchants and full looms. From 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 for Alliance, just do quests or grind mobs. Grinding mobs is fractionally faster. It'll take you about an hour. The exploits you'll be using at this point are just to do with transportation. You are either running or restricted to your chauffeur mount, both of which are quite slow. In my previous leveling videos, I showed you how to use the item Fell Meteor combined with Goblin Glider to fly short distances. In 7.35, there are two new items you can use to increase your speed at low level. The Cracked Radanax Control Gem creates this rocket-like mount for 15 seconds, which goes as fast as a flying mount. There are 3 charges in each gem for a total of 45 seconds. The item Gun Shoes can also be used at any level and has much the same effect. These items will save you a ton of frustration early on. From level 10 onwards for Horde and level 15 for Alliance, we're going to be using Method 0, and this is a method I outlined in my first leveling video 7 months ago in 7.25. I developed it independently, but I discovered after uploading it that several other players had discovered it also. I'll link to some sources at the end of the video. Note, this is very important. This exploit does not require 2 accounts. You are using 2 characters on the same account. You only need 1 account to use the method. You do not need a second account. You do not need another player to help you. Now, this method has not only not been fixed in patch 7.35, it has actually become significantly more powerful, allowing the player to level in around 6 hours to level 60. Now I'm going to show you exactly how to use Method 0 in-game, and as you can see, I've taken my Demon Hunter to the entrance to Ragefire Chasm. My Demon Hunter has formed a group. I log out and log in on my low-level warrior. My low-level warrior has attempted to join the group. I log back in on my Demon Hunter and accept the warrior's application. The warrior then walks into Ragefire Chasm, and this is important. The low-level character has to be in the instance to receive any gains from the high-level character running through that instance. Now I open a secondary client, and the Demon Hunter logs in and enters the same instance, then runs through the dungeon. When I log in on my Demon Hunter, my low-level warrior is automatically logged out. However, the game world doesn't register this for a short period, and during that time, my warrior remains motionless and visible to other characters, and can also receive experience. You can see the obvious advantage here that the Demon Hunter can clear the instance much faster than any low-level character can. In addition to being able to one-shot everything, you can move much more quickly. The Demon Hunter is gathering up all the bosses, and all the bosses in this particular instance will follow you throughout the instance once you've aggroed them, with the exception of the big worm guy. So what we're going to do is kite those 3 bosses to the big worm guy so we can kill them all at once. And as you can see here, we've drawn all the bosses and the trash to the worm's location. You can then log in on your low-level character, the warrior in this case, and you don't log out on your high-level character. Again, you just log straight onto your low-level character on a secondary client. Then you log back in on the first client to your high-level character, in this case a Demon Hunter, and one-shot all the bosses and trash. This will gain you an insane amount of experience. It is way faster than any other method of grinding experience at low level. Now, the fastest way out of the dungeon for the high level character is to have them stripped naked and then use Help Unstuck to kill the character, which takes them instantly to the start of the dungeon. Unfortunately, this only works if your Hearthstone has been deleted. Now, if you don't want to delete your Hearthstone, there's an alternative method which requires you to buy Pinch Whistle Nitro Fuel, which you can find in your inn in Ashran, whichever faction capital it is. You'll also need to pick up level 1 cooking. Then, whenever you want to get back to the start of the dungeon, put down a basic campfire and drink the Nitro Fuel, and your character will die quite quickly. Again, taking you straight back to the start of the dungeon, and do remember to strip your character naked to avoid damage to your gear. Then all you have to do is take both characters out of the dungeon, reset the instance, and repeat the whole process. On average, you'll gain a level every 3 dungeon runs. Now, you can run 10 dungeons before you get instance lockout. That'll take you about 20 minutes or so. To get from level 10 to 60 will take you roughly 5 hours, which added to the initial time you take to get to level 10 will mean you'll get to level 60 in about 6 hours played. And this is significantly faster than leveling or using Looking for Dungeon. For the Alliance, there's an even better option, which is the Stockades, which you can enter at level 15. The dungeon is much smaller, and the bosses can all be kited to the same location, and it is possible to run 10 instances in 15 minutes or less. This is by far the best dungeon in the whole game to use Method 0, and as with Ragefire Chasm, you can run it to level 60 in 6 hours played. There's some other very enjoyable and interesting opportunities at low level. For Horde players, go to Forsaken High Command in Silverpine Forest and complete half a dozen quests till you receive the level 10 quest, Lost in the Darkness, at Forsaken Rear Guard. Now, join any large grade group through the custom group option and begin attacking the webbed figures you'll see around you here. Some of these produce Orc Sea Dog NPCs who fight with you once you've released them. Normally the maximum number of Sea Dogs is 6, but when you're in a raid group this glitches out and you can have infinite NPCs all fighting for you and gaining experience. Get enough of them and they will literally one-shot anything in the zone or surrounding zones. You can alternate between farming random mobs in the region at hyperspeed and killing elites who award almost a quest's worth of XP. Note that the web figures appear to be instant respawn and often contain random mobs, effectively making this an instant respawn farm. Note also that the Sea Dogs scale to your level and last a full 10 minutes. Horde also have an amazing opportunity to glitch 2 overpowered NPCs, and this is one of my favourite ever exploits. If you follow the quests in Hillsbrad Foothills down to the chain in the sludge fields, you'll eventually receive a quest called Freedom for Lydon, which awards you these 2 NPCs. Getting to the appropriate quest is a little involved. I made a specific video about it some time ago, which I'll link to below, and you may want to check out if you have issues getting to the right quest. Now, you can glitch these 2 guys out of their intended quest area by edging in and outside the zone. And if you time it right, they should spawn just as you're leaving the zone, and they will then follow you anywhere in the Eastern Kingdoms. Their names are Johnny Awesome and Apothecary Lydon, and they have some very interesting special abilities that I'm sure you'll discover. If you have any intention of questing in the Eastern Kingdoms, I would strongly recommend you use this plug. It makes it so much more entertaining and fun to level up. You can even take these NPCs down as far as Wetlands, and they're very strong. They can kill elites up to 10 levels higher than they are. You'll need some means of holding aggro or protecting them though, as their health will go down over time. Remember this location, as we'll come back to it shortly. Alliance have a very similar opportunity in Western Plaguelands, some way down the Andoral quest chain, with the quest Combat Training that you could get at level 35. You'll be given these 4 farmers who will fight for you and can be glitched out of the zone in exactly the same way that Johnny Awesome and Apothecary Lydon can be. Just go to the edge of the zone and slowly edge outwards, and they should despawn and respawn outside the zone. They'll then follow you anywhere in the Western or Eastern Plaguelands. They'll kill more or less anything in the 2 zones. And now in 7.35, they match your level, as to the other NPCs you can glitch that I've mentioned. Also in 7.35, an interesting new opportunity has opened up with the farmers. You can simply go semi or entirely AFK in the area they were intended for, and they will randomly run around killing mobs, gaining you experience. Now, this is rather a slow way to level. I was gaining about half a level an hour, but given that you don't have to do anything, it is quite interesting nonetheless. In theory, you could go to sleep and wake up 4 levels higher with an AFK macro. Now, as I've explained, Method 0 will get you up to level 60 in around 6 hours. However, there is an issue in that you will usually hit instance cap before the hour is up. Now, if you want to grind continuously, there's quite an attractive alternative option. Go to this location in the Wetlands, where you get these continuously spawning dragonkin and orcs. We looked at this area briefly before. And just as with Method 0, I've formed a group with a high level character and a leveling character. And you can see my Fire Mage main is killing the instantly respawning mobs, and my low level hunter is getting much of the benefit of the experience gain. This is not as fast as Method 0 in terms of time played, but because you don't get instance lockout, you can get more XP per hour. On average, you'll gain 75 to 80% of a level every 10 minutes. In addition to this, you will get your low-level character disconnected periodically, and how much this difference makes depends on your rig, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. In my case, it reduced the speed of my XP grinding by around 10%, giving me an average of around 4 levels per hour. You can get to level 60 in just over 10 hours doing this, not quite as fast as Method 0, but significantly faster than questing or leveling. At level 60, it is time to head to Outland, and the second best dungeon to use Method 0 in, which is accessible to both Horde and Alliance, Hellfire Ramparts in Hellfire Citadel. There is a very specific way to use Method 0 here that improves on the original technique that I described in my 7.25 leveling guide. This took me quite a while to figure out, and is very counterintuitive. First, form your custom group with your high-level character and your leveling character. Then enter the dungeon on your high-level character and pull all the trash in the dungeon, including the first boss, up to Nazan the Nether Drake on the second floor. Now, you'll need to kill the 2 sentries here to start the fight. Unless you kill the 2 sentries, then Nazan won't fly down. Now, Vazrudin the Herald comes down from the Nether Drake, and kill him immediately. Note that Vazrudin cannot be kited. However, after you kill him, the Nether Drake Nazan flies down and will follow you. Kite Nazan to Omor the Unscarred, the last boss, and you should now have all 3 bosses in the same place. Log in on your secondary client to make sure your low level character gets XP. Log back to the first and one-shot all the bosses and trash. Hellfire Ramparts can be repeated until level 80. It'll take you about 4 hours played. From 80 to 83, depending on your class and gear, you may want to start soloing the dungeon, as this becomes quite possible for your low level character as they begin to outlevel the dungeon. By level 84, the XP gains become increasingly less worthwhile. Now, for players who want to grind XP continuously after instance lockout, there's an alternative path from 70 to 80. I found an amazing opportunity in Sunwell Plateau, the entrance to which is located in the Isle of Keldanas, and there's a portal to it in Shatrath. In Sunwell Plateau, there are mobs known as Sunwell Kabbalists, similar to warlocks. I found that they summon a low health mob called Fire Fiends, which award a small amount of experience. I experimented with killing all the mobs around the Sunwell Kabbalists, and then kiting them all to the same location. There's about 10 Sunwell Kabbalists around the entrance to the instance. What you then get is this truly amazing stream of Fire Fiends that are very easy to kill for a player in the 70s without any issues, and award fantastic amounts of XP collectively. From level 83 onwards, I found using Method 0 in Lost City of the Tol'Vir to be an excellent choice. That was quite an efficient way to take you all the way up to level 90. This is the largest dungeon you will be using Method 0 in, and one of the bosses is too far away from the entrance to make it practical for your low-level player to be awarded experience. That's the big crocodile. Though you'll still need to kill the croc to progress to the last 2 bosses. You'll want to log in on your leveling character when you reach the penultimate boss on your high-level character. And you'll also need to move the characters quite close together. There are proximity issues in this dungeon, so walk your leveling character at least halfway across the bridge. If you don't do this, there's a danger that the leveling character won't pick up XP for the kill. Now, you'll want to one-shot both of the remaining bosses, and remember that HP requirements have gone up recently. So make sure that you're doing enough damage to kill both of the final bosses in one hit. They have complex immunity mechanics that kick in quickly afterwards if you don't kill them instantly. Now at level 90 you'll want to head out to Draenor. Now there's a much quicker way to do this than go through the introductory scenario, and while I've mentioned this method several times, I'm just going to go through it briefly since there always seem to be people who don't know about it yet. Go to Stormwind or Orgrimmar and click on the mission board and accept the quest which takes you to the Jade Forest. Go into Stormwind Keep or Grommash Hold and the cinematic will start. Cancel the cinematic and now fly straight to the Pandarian area in your respective faction capital, and the portal to Pandaria will be active. This skips the introductory cinematics when you get to Pandaria and the opening quests. Next, fly directly to the Timeless Isle from the Griffin Master And once there, run to this location in the southeast of the Timeless Isle. Swim down into this cave, sit down on one of the chairs provided, and click on the fire, and magically you'll be transported to Gorgrond in Draenor. You can then fly down to Shadowmoon Valley or Frostfire Ridge and begin the quests which give you your garrison. Once you establish your garrison, buy the XP potion from the Quartermaster, which gives you 20% extra XP, and do all the bonus objectives you can, and get all the treasures. Just doing this type of basic gameplay will get you through Draenor pretty quickly. If you go to Talador at level 94 and work your way up the quest chain, you'll eventually come to the quest Born to Shred. And this gives you a vehicle which has two abilities which appear to only work in the immediate quest zone of Turem. A viewer of this channel, Random Gnome Hero, discovered that the Shredder has an additional auto attack ability, and this works anywhere in Talador. The auto attack will one-shot any normal mob in the zone, and only takes a few hits to kill even the strongest elite. I found a very effective area to grind mobs was in the Burning Front. This elite ogre and the demon he summons will give you 6,400 experience at level 95. The infernals scattered around the Burning Front also give you 1,500 experience. At 98 to 100, you can head to the Broken Isles and Legion, and little has changed about the leveling process here. Before you head out, go to your faction capital and get the quest to be prepared, and pick up the Polished Armour debuff, which increases your armour by 30%, lasts 1 hour, and persists through death. Don't complete the quest, skip straight to Dalaran via the quest giver. Anytime you return to your faction capital, you'll be able to pick up the debuff again. As before 7.35, by far the fastest way to get to 110 is to do only demon invasions and bonus objectives. The problem with demon invasions is that they are widely spaced out and are often at inconvenient times of the day. One way to extend the leveling value of these invasions is to use the special abilities which you are given in some of the invasion quests. For example, take this quest, Battle of the Ruins in the Ruined Sanctum in Azun. You are given an Arcane Bomb ability, which will two-shot the demons in the area. Sometimes, as in this particular quest, when the bar fills up you no longer have access to the special ability, but I found an exploit to work around that. Just join a raid group using Group Finder. Whilst in a group, you will not progress in any quests you are currently on, allowing you to keep the Arcane Bomb or other special ability until all the demon invasions expire altogether. There's an interesting trick which will allow you to reset your cooldowns when leveling in the Broken Isles. Travel to the Vale of Eternal Blossoms and fly over to the Seat of Knowledge above Mogoshan Palace, and you'll be able to speak to Lore Walker Han, who will allow you to access old Pandaria raids. Choose the Terrace of Endless Spring, enter the raid, and kill the Shah around the Jinyu bosses. Then teleport out of the raid and go to the Broken Isles, and you'll notice the raid is still active and you can enter and exit it at will. Whenever you need to reset your cooldowns, simply enter the raid and attack the Jinyu bosses, then immediately drop combat and port out of the dungeon. You'll find your cooldowns have reset, so for example my mage can continuously cast Time Warp with its huge increase in attack speed, an ability which normally has a 10-minute cooldown. This particular raid instance was suggested for use with this exploit by the great exploiter TRG Semi, whom you may know from previous videos of mine as the inventor of the freeze macro. Terrace is the best raid to use, but if you're feeling lazy, you can instead port to your garrison using your garrison Hearthstone and speak to Seer Kazal, then enter the Bastion of Shadows in Hellfire Citadel. As with the Terrace, clear the trash around Shadow Lord Iskar and drop combat, and then teleport out of the instance. This method takes slightly longer than the Terrace method, but is faster to set up. This technique will increase your leveling speed throughout the Broken Isles. A question I got asked a lot in my last leveling video was, so how long is it going to take to get me to max level? Which is not really a question I wanted to answer, because if I tell the truth it sounds like clickbait. And to some extent it is down to individual variables which vary for every player, such as whether you count time played inclusive of instance lockout, class, gear, etc. That said, with the changes to leveling in 7.35, I feel that you should be able to level up in 24 hours played if you push it using the techniques in this video, which is significantly faster than questing or running dungeons. Also, someone will usually leave a comment on this type of video along the lines of, why are you trying to rush through this content? Why not enjoy the game? And yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the revamp to leveling has been long overdue and it's very welcome. And there's some fantastic content in the game. And if you're new to Warcraft, I would encourage you to take your time and appreciate it. So there's the video. If you liked it, why not subscribe? And if you really liked it, why not consider joining my super secret Patreon feed, where you get exploits like the ones in this video as soon as I discover them, sometimes weeks or even months before I release them, as well as some things I just could not ever release publicly as it would get them hotfixed instantly. That said, if you can't afford it, or you just don't want to join, then I'm committed to offering the best possible free content on this YouTube channel for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching. This has been Archvelder.